Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
News, traffic, and the latest from the world of sports. This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
On a Monday evening, we welcome you in. It is Rush Hour Sports right here on KMOX. Alongside of Bernie Miklasz, I'm Matt Pauley. Kevin Wheeler has the night off. He'll be back with us here over the next day or two. And we're happy that you're spending part of your day with us. For those of you who are watching on the video stream, feel free to leave a comment in the chat. For those of you who are listening to us, if you want to send a text message, you can do so at 314-436-7900. Bernie, it's always good to be able to see you, always good to be able to work with you. Hopefully you had yourself a pretty solid sports weekend.
Oh, I did. It was a lot of fun. I know that, we had a million things to watch. I try to watch all 1 million of them. And then Monday, it's back to work time, and reality knocks on my bedroom door, and I try to wake up and do it all over again.
Yeah, and we got a few things to get into. We'll touch on some college football coming up later on this hour as the two big games that we talked about on Friday with Mizzou and Illinois. Neither team able to get the win, but I want to start with baseball, and I want to start with the news of the day, and that's that somebody who's got a firm place in the heart of many Cardinals fans for his work as the Cardinals manager and his work coming up through the Cardinal system. Mike Shildt made the announcement today that he was retiring as the manager of the San Diego Padres. He put out a letter saying that's something he's been considering, talked about kind of the emotional and mental toll that being a major league manager can take on you. There's a bunch of different directions we can go on this one, Bernie. So I'll just throw at you your initial reaction when you heard the news today that Shildt, at least for now, calling it quits.
I was really surprised. You could tell during the wild card round series against the Cubs that he seemed really tired. He did seem, kind of, I don't know how to describe it, overwrought. I mean, he took the losses hard. Not that he shouldn't, but Mike Shildt has always been a guy to me that is a really excellent baseball man, but I think he has a hard time keeping his emotions under control. Like, he really feels things hard and it kind of eats him up. And when he's going through a tough time and like his mood is not in a good place, that's a time. I'll just throw this in, and I don't know whether this happened out in San Diego, but I've heard rumblings that it did. He'll start to be really erratic with his coaches and really hard on his coaches and sort of taking a lot of stuff out on them. And I know Cardinals coaches at the time didn't care for that because it was getting worse as he went along. And I think, who knows if that repeated again? Who knows if he was starting to having a falling out with AJ Preller, the general manager. That's a popular theory in baseball circles. Mike Shildt denied that to Bob Nightingale of USA Today. I don't know. I just hope that he can find some peace because, starting with the way the Cardinals job ended through today, he's been, the word I keep thinking is like overwrought. He's been very overwrought. He kind of loses it and falls into a state, I don't know, of like literal depression. I'm not saying that, but he just gets into a bad way mentally and emotionally, which he acknowledged in his statement today.
Ken Rosenthal was on the Fox pregame show for the ALCS game that's going on right now, Seattle and Toronto, 3-3 in the third inning. But Ken Rosenthal said, quote, "He told me in a text that he's happy with his decision, but unless he's dealing with a serious health issue, it's difficult to imagine him retiring of his own volition." And I think a lot of people have that thought, and I'm not trying to go all conspiracy theorist here. And I always throw how I'm feeling out there. I never try to hide it. I'm borderline uncomfortable having this conversation, Bernie, because I think so much of Mike Shildt as a baseball guy, and we're going to probably go down some pathways where we talk about some negative aspects of him. So I'm not trying to kick him as he walks out the door. I'm just trying to present things from a matter-of-fact standpoint. When you look at the talent he was given in San Diego, even with the playoff appearances that they made, that was a team that was built to get to the World Series, a team that was built to win the World Series, and he did not reach that, as he mentioned in his letter. But I think for some, people were not happy with the job he did specifically in the postseason.
Padres fans seem really upset with him. I'm not sure they had all that much reason to be upset with him, but they also saw AJ Preller, whether you like him or not. He's hyper, but he never stops trying to improve the team. And he went out at the trade deadline and got them a ton of help. He got his manager a ton of help, and yet that team never kicked in. It's a really good team. I'm sure it's frustrating that you're in the same division with the Dodgers, but that's life. The Blue Jays are in the same division with the Yankees. So are the Tampa Bay Rays. So are the Red Sox. I mean, that's not an easy assignment, but I don't know. Listen, AJ Preller, I wish I had the list in front of me. AJ Preller goes through managers the way I go through my hats, right? No, he really does. He's firing managers all the time. So, yeah, like you, man, and forgive me because I respect what you said there. So I don't want you to think that I'm getting all, conspiracy minded. But look at AJ Preller's track record and look how unhappy everyone in San Diego seems to be. And it's hardly a big reach to assume that perhaps Mike Shildt said, "You're not going to fire me. I'm going to retire." And I'm sure if that was the case, I'm sure that they went along because they had no reason to make it personal. So if he wanted to call it a retirement, if that's the case, the Padres at least kind of showed a little class instead of just putting out there that they fired him.
Well, and the other legitimate scenario that nobody is talking about, Bernie, look what happened in New York with the Mets. David Stearns walked into Carlos Mendoza's office and basically said, "You can stick around, but everybody on your coaching staff is gone. Take it or leave it."
Right.
And Mendoza took it because he wanted to remain a major league manager. Is there a scenario that a version of that happened in San Diego where AJ Preller walked into Mike Shilt's office and said, "You can remain the manager, but everything else is changing"? And Shildt said,
It could be. The one thing I know, people always say no one's ever reported what happened between Shildt and Mozeliak. I reported it a lot, actually. One of the things, and I only bring this up because you just mentioned a possibility. One of the things that was going on between Mozeliak and Shildt is that Shildt actually wanted to get rid of coaches, and Mo really saw no reason to do that. And Shildt dug in on it, and he just wouldn't shut up about it, and they couldn't agree on it. So, it could be. So if he was trying to dump coaches in St. Louis, and those coaches had kind of turned on him because he had been so I don't know what the word is, just overly aggressive in the way he treated them when he was ticked off. And Mozeliak just said, "Well, that's not the way it works here, And so whether now it was the opposite situation, they wanted to fire his coaches, but he said no in San Diego. I don't know. But Mike Shildt, and people don't like this when I say it, but you either want me to tell the truth as I know it, or you want me to be a parakeet. I don't know what people want sometimes. But there was all kinds of turmoil behind the scenes in St. Louis. And as I've said a million times, Mike Shildt, for as good of a manager as he is, he has to understand that he's not the boss, and baseball has changed. I mean, Tony La Russa was the boss, right?
Yeah.
Bruce Bochy was a boss in San Francisco. You have boss managers, but that era is pretty much over. And you got to work with the front office. You don't dictate to the front office what they should do. It sort of works the other way around. In the best relationships, it's corroborative. Everybody gets along. Neither side, the GM or the manager, they don't all get what they want all the time. They compromise on some things. I think Mike Shildt had a very difficult time with that in St. Louis.
Gut feeling, do we see Mike Shildt manage again in Major League Baseball?
I think he will, but let me ask you this. You know, some of the stuff he said after the Cardinals fired him, I'm heartbroken. I'm still heartbroken. You know, it's taken me a long time to get over this. And, you know, I remember, you know, hearing an interview and I remember thinking, gosh, he's really he's in a bad way right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt for him, but he was in a really dark place. And you rarely hear a manager speak in those terms. So you have to let me ask you the question. If you're looking for a manager, there's no doubt the guy's a really good manager, other than bringing Alex Reyes in to give up a bomb in the 2021 NL wildcard game. But anyway, do you think if you're looking for a manager, do you think would have to be concerned about his temperament?
Yeah, I think, look, if we're going to learn more as time goes along, right? Like people are always going to leak stuff. And then all of a sudden we're going to be reading a story in the San Diego Union Tribune, whatever their newspaper's called. And there's going to be like a throwaway line there about something that happened between Schilt and Preller. Like that's going to happen. Small little nibbles of information are slowly going to leak their way out over the foreseeable future. And if there becomes an obvious situation where he and Preller got a little bit sideways, then all of a sudden you look at a manager who's lost 2 jobs with 2 good teams getting sideways with the head of baseball operations.
Right. And Cardinals fans hate John Mozeliak so much, they'll never, ever acknowledge that maybe Mozeliak was right in what he did, you know. But, okay, now it's another team, another GM. I don't know.
That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. You are listening to Rush Hour Sports. We'll talk a little bit about the Cardinals farm system. Some new rankings out. We'll tell you all about it coming up in just a moment here on KMOX.
It's the Medicare Advantage annual enrollment period, and Humana knows not everyone has the same needs when picking a Medicare Advantage plan.
Now that I'm retired, I want to enjoy the life I've worked hard to build. So I want a plan that covers me when I'm traveling the country.
Humana has a plan for that.
As a veteran, I want a plan that fills in the gaps my VA coverage doesn't provide, like dental care.
Humana has a plan for that.
I feel good about my health. I just want care and coverage with predictable costs. No surprises.
Humana has a plan for that. With a Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you get coverage and benefits that focus on what matters most to you. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-979-3168. 800-979-3168. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-979-3168.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real. And I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, the biggest delays are still in Metro East on eastbound 64. This traffic reports service of the Sandberg Phoenix Law Firm. There's stop-and-go pockets eastbound 64 from 157, just a little east of 157, all the way to Greenmount Road. Road work. And we had an earlier crash that was out there for a while, so that's super tough considering how light everything else is. That is the worst of it by far. Westbound 64, Science Center out to Clayton Skinker's a little busy. It's a little slow. West of Lake St. Louis Boulevard. South 270 is kind of bogged down from Olive down Fort Ladue. Westbound 44, the right lane's a little slow at Geyer to 270. South 170, the Parkway to 64 is busy. Eastbound 64, a little slow past the Interbelt. Southbound 141, just some heavy traffic. 13th Street down through Romaine Creek, not jammed like it was earlier when it was back near Gravely Bluffs. And the rest of the highways look great. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we're more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. We are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyers and important decisions should not be based solely on advertising.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Back at it is Rush Hour Sports right here on KMOX alongside of Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. Again, if you want to chime in, you can leave a comment. For those of you who are watching on the video stream, for those of you listening, just text on in 314-436-7900. Bernie, encourage everybody to check out your daily videos, daily columns over at STL Sports Central. I was watching your video earlier today, and you locked in on what's going on with the Cardinals farm system, where one publication has them now as the #1 farm system in all of Major League Baseball. It has been a very quick rise, and that's cool, and I encourage everybody to go watch the video. I want to take a little bit of a left turn on this, though, and you alluded to it a bit, how quickly it happened, and it got me thinking. If Chaim Bloom can walk in the door and he can get that farm system just humming along at a really quick rate, and being given the resources to do what you need to do to improve the farm system, that's part of it. If he is given the resources, as we have been told that he will, is this an indication that maybe the success at the big league level, if they make good decisions, could actually happen a little bit quicker than we were expecting?
I think so, because he's got a great track record in terms of developing players and developing farm system where they're loaded with prospects. And to me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, the more really good prospects you have, the better. There's no such thing as having too many prospects. And it's the foundation of your organization. It isn't stupid free agent contracts, right? And the Cardinals really need Chaim Bloom's touch right now to get this player development system where it should be. And they've made amazing progress. And that'll give Chaim Bloom more to work with as he tries to rebuild the major league club, because the more young players you plug in, if you have enough of them, including players already here that other teams want, it will give you the ability to make more deals and to maybe restructure the way you put your roster together. It opens up all kinds of possibilities. The one thing I want to add, and two things, and I said this in the video. Number one, it's awesome that they're already the top-ranked farm system according to Fangraphs, which does a great job on this. It doesn't mean that all of these players that are being rated highly, the Cardinals have 6 in the top. Is it 6 or 7 in the top 100 now? No one's saying, oh, they're all going to be superstars. We in the St. Louis media, but hey, they're all going to be superstars. We're not saying that. We know that a lot of guys never reach the shore. They fall into the ocean. They disappear. Whatever. And the other thing I wanted to say, and I'll be brief on this because I want to get your thoughts. I do think it would be unfair not to mention John Mozeliak, Randy Flores, guys like that, and some others. Now, as I said in the video, John Mozeliak screwed the farm system up because maybe a lot of it because he didn't have the money to put into it, but also he let the thing kind of stagnate and fall behind and decay and become outdated. So I'm not saying that's an important part of the story. But even before they hired Chaim Bloom, you could see some players coming to St. Louis. They have some good players on this roster that made their way through the system before Chaim Bloom ever showed up. And they drafted some players and they developed a higher level of prospect before Chaim Bloom showed up. So John Mozeliak, before he left, and I realize 98.9% of Cardinals fans don't want to give him credit for anything, but I think he at least started to correct his mistakes. But Chaim Bloom and Rob Cerfolio and Larry Day and those guys, they know what they're doing in real time during the 2025 season to make a lot of these guys better.
I guess the only thing that you don't, as many baseball evaluators have said, you don't get a parade thrown for you because you're on the cover of Baseball America. It doesn't work that way. But it's a nice thing, and it shows an indication. But what's the star level of coming? Because we talk about this team being starved for stars. I think J.J. Weatherholt has the opportunity to be a star. I think Liam Doyle has a chance to be a really, really good top of the rotation starting pitcher. But you look at the other, 4 or 5 guys that are in the top 100. Jimmy Crooks is already here. Tink Hence is just at the bottom part of the top 100. Lord knows if we're ever going to see him even in a Cardinals uniform. So, you can play both sides of the field on this one. When you look at the top end of the farm system, after a guy or two, I still think you have to squint a little bit to maybe Bernal, maybe Rodriguez, the catchers, day 18. But there's not these like ready-made stars, I guess is the point I'm trying to get to.
Well, the interesting thing about that is that, this time of the year ago, all of the prospect evaluators, had Quinn Matthews as like the top lefty or the second best lefty among all prospects, pitchers.
Yeah.
And nothing happened to him other than he had, shoulder fatigue, and it caused him to get out of whack. And he had command issues, but he made 22 starts in Memphis. I like this idea that he's suddenly just a guy. I think he's more than just a guy. So I would actually put him on a list of Cardinals prospects that I think can really do something. And there are others.
Bernie I would agree with that. I should have mentioned Quinn Matthews when I was going through.
That's all right, brother.
Sure. That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. We're going to shift gears, talk some college football. Missouri came up short. Should have they won on Saturday? We'll discuss it next here on KMOX.
Herman's Hermits, starring Peter Noon.
Something tells me I'm into something good.
And the Lovin' Spoonful. Do you believe in magic? Saturday, October 25th at the Family Arena with the Hollies' greatest hits, starring Terry Sylvester. Get tickets now at the Carroll House Furniture box office, located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. Herman's Hermits, starring Peter Noon and the Lovin' Spoonful.
Starship featuring Mickey Thomas. With John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band. Shooting Star.
Last chance to believe in yourself.
In Missouri. Saturday, November 15th, the Family Arena. Reserve seats on sale now at the Carroll House Furniture box office, located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster.
This is Todd Krentz with Krentz Financial Group. For over 6 decades, we have helped St. Louis families and businesses plan with purpose and live with confidence. Selling your business is a major milestone. Before and after the sale, our role is to help cut through complexity and create a clear financial strategy focused on your legacy. We often coordinate with your attorney and CPA to ensure everything is aligned so your plan not only fits today, but continues working for you in the future. Your goals, our mission. Start today at kfgadvisors.com.
Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Servicing. Member FINRA/SIPC. Prince Financial Group is not a broker-dealer.
The legendary Fast Eddie of Fast Eddie's Bon Air and Redbirds Hall of Famer, Jason Isringhausen.
Hey, Izzy, what's going on, man? Looks kind of like you got something on your mind.
Well, Eddie boy, I'm thinking you may need to change the name of your place from Fast Eddie's to $5 Eddie's.
$5 Eddie's? Now, why in the world would I call it $5 Eddie's?
Well, I was in there the other day and bought myself the coldest beer I've ever had in my life, and I gave the guy $5. And then I went over and got some of those huge cold water peel and eat shrimps, and I gave her $5.
Well, I never really thought about that. There's a lot of $5 going on in there.
And then I went back up and got one of those huge Fast Eddie cheeseburgers, and I gave them $5 again.
Man, definitely has a ring to it. I think there's a lot of $5 going on.
Yeah, and I had about $100 $5 worth of good time.
Well, that's good to hear, and it's easy to do with live music 7 days a week and a big old party going on that big, beautiful outdoor patio.
Well, like Mr. Shannon always says, if you're 21 and in the mood, head on over to Fast Eddie's Bon Air in Alton, Illinois, and maybe take a selfie on that old Harley Davidson of mine.
Who else has got a Cardinal Hall of Famer's Harley Davidson sitting out on the patio for some selfies?
Only Eddie boy.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy, Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com.
This is Debbie Monterey, and I really want you to know about the trusted services that Ever True Anywhere Care provides to older adults who want to age successfully at home. Formerly Lutheran Senior Services, their team of experts specializes in orthopedic care. They also have licensed nurses for in-home support and trained caregivers to help with household tasks like meal prep and medication reminders. Call 314-597-6498 to learn more or visit evertrueanywherecare.org. evertrueanywherecare.org.
Bernie Miklasz here for my friends at Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin Comfort dealer. You know, the Saliga family continuously has been taking care of St. Louis families all the way since 1927. I just love that. I come from a family that had a business where all the grandkids worked in it, you know, the nieces, the nephews, and I helped my grandparents run their store. So I know what that's like when your name is on the business. It's on that big sign on the business. It's on the trucks and all that good stuff. It just means a lot more because your name and your reputation is on the line. That's what you can count on with Saliga Heating and Cooling. Listen, they're great at what they do, or they still wouldn't be going strong here in 2025, almost 2026. And in our 17 years as a client, we have come to expect total honesty from Saliga, professionalism, the highest reliability in terms of service, and you know, coming to your house when they say that you're going to arrive at your house. And the thing that I just keep emphasizing is you can count on them to be honest. They've all, in our case, they have always looked for the low cost solutions to save us money. They're not trying to twist our arm or hustle us or upsell us. We trust them at the Miklasz home 100%. And I am pleased to recommend them to you. One more thing, Saliga has a priority club. It's a maintenance plan. It's going to save you money by extending the life of your current equipment. We have been members of the club for a long time, and I can endorse that because we have indeed saved money through the priority club, and there's some other perks as well. So please think about this family-owned business. If the next time you need heating or cooling help, to find out more, go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. Thank you.
Some people spend more time planning their weekend barbecue than their retirement. And hey, I love barbecue, but ribs won't pay your bills at 85. I'm Gary Goldberg, the founder of Financial and Tax Strategies. I'll help you retire younger, richer, and with less anxiety. Give me a call, 800-966-1690, or visit us at checkwithgary.com before you burn through more than just your burgers.
Investment advisory services offered through Centaurus Financial, Inc., an FFC registered investment advisor.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Rush Hour Sports continues on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is Rush Hour Sports here on KMOX, a Monday night edition alongside of Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. It's great that you have chosen to spend a part of your day with us, and we're going to shift gears now and talk a little college football. And Bernie, that was a what could have been game for the University of Missouri. I don't think they played poorly. There were certainly some interesting decisions that were made. They played a good Bama team tough, but I got to think they walked out of that game feeling like they should have won that one.
Yeah, by the post-game comments from the coach and the players, it seemed that way. I thought obviously a big moment in the game was, Mizzou goes down the field. They have a great opening drive. It's very authoritative. It's really beautiful. And then they're about to make Alabama give up the ball again. And, there's unforced mental errors, lack of discipline, with taunting, couple other dumb penalties, and it kind of just gave Alabama a chance to settle down. And that doesn't mean that the game was lost right there, but I think Mizzou just sort of gave up this advantage they had, kind of flattened out there for a while. But anyway, the thing that I still don't understand, and listen, I've read some pieces by people I truly respect that let's just say we disagree on this. I just still can't believe there was 12 touches in that game for Ahmad Hardy.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, and the big jerk here, gave everyone 20,000 stats on how vulnerable the Alabama run defense was and has been under Kalen DeBoer, especially on the road. This thing was set up perfectly for Ahmad Hardy to basically carry this game and carry the Tigers to victory. But they got away from what they do best, which is run the ball with him. And they sort of made this decision to put the game in Bo Prabula's hands. And as much as I like and respect him, there is no downfield passing attack in the Mizzou offense. He's only attempted 14 passes this season that travel 20 or more yards in the air. So if you can't stretch the field, but you have a running back who if you give him the ball enough, he's going to just pound his way, eventually pop a couple, 2 or 3 really long runs. And you're going to wear a defense of Alabama that had players injured. You're going to wear them down. You're going to grind them out. I mean, you're going to win it that way. So the strategy, frankly, made no sense to me. So, but it's easy for me to say, and just to reiterate, I think Drink is a fantastic leader of this football program.
Yeah, I'm all in on him for sure. I do think, and this is a Mizzou thing from Saturday, but this is an all of sports thing. You watch sports long enough, you see weird things happen. I'm amazed by how often, Bernie, you'll have a team that has a strength, like a superpower, and it propels them to win after win after win after win. And then all of a sudden, a huge game pops up, and they kind of change their DNA for that game. And I don't know if they're trying to catch the other team off guard. I don't know what, but that's a thing we see happen way too often. And I'm a play to your strengths kind of guy. And if you need to adjust, go ahead and adjust. So I'm with you right there. Hardy's been he's been arguably the best running back in the nation, if not the best, one of the best. That running game has been the best. To go away from that, it just didn't make sense.
No, and the thing of it is, he came into the game averaging like 29 carries a game. And in the 2 high-profile games they had played, I mean, he ran Kansas into the ground. He ran South Carolina into the ground, Lawrence Roberts as well. I mean, I thought, Lawrence, if you're not going to give the ball to Hardy, why did you give Lawrence Roberts only 5 carries? One of them went for, what, 30-some yards?
Yeah.
So Mizzou does something exceptionally well. They really, really do on offense, and that's run the football. And their offensive line's got a really high grade in terms of run blocking. I just don't get it. I think sometimes coaches overthink things. I think sometimes coaches are trying to show they can outsmart the other side. I don't know. That one, I don't understand how you've been riding Hardy all season and giving him the ball 30 times a game. And then all of a sudden, a vulnerable Alabama run defense shows up. 12 touches. 12 touches. I just... And I appreciate my friends in the media, and I'm not being sarcastic, who try to say, well, I'm going to look at every situation, and, it wasn't all that bad. No, my friends, I love you, but actually it was really bad.
That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. We're going to continue this Mizzou discussion in just a moment, but let's keep you get you up to date on what's going on the highways and byways right now. Check traffic.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Yeah, it's not bad out there on this holiday Monday. This traffic reports the service of Overhead Door Company of St. Louis with the exception of eastbound 64. Now, it's better than it was, but eastbound 64 still has slow stretches, but periodically stop and go. About midway up the hill from 157 to 159, and it extends through Greenmount Road. So that's a lot of traffic. That's busiest by far. Everything else pales in comparison. Eastbound 64, just a little slow past Hanley. Westbound 64 is clear. Westbound 70 is clear. South 270 is clear. Southbound 55 looks great. There are no other interstate delays. That's really all we got is the one in Metro East on eastbound 64. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. A winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Enter now at overheaddoorstlouis.com.
We roll on with Rush Hour Sports. That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. We appreciate you being with us. We're talking Missouri football, and we talked about this on Friday, Bernie. It's a missed opportunity for Missouri, and I know they're not going to tell you that they worry too much about what the outside world, but one of our points on Friday was that was a game to get rid of the yeah, but. When people talk about Missouri, they're able to say, but this, but the. If they win that game against Alabama, nobody's questioning the legitimacy of who they are, and by not winning the game, all of a sudden it goes right back to, well, Missouri is Missouri, and I think from a national standpoint, people are going to say you can't trust them.
You could even see it in the pregame shows, and I like that the gang at SEC Nation, but every single one of them picked Alabama. And Roman Harper, who's an Alabama guy, and that's okay. But the day before, on the Feinbaum show that was set up at Mizzou, Roman Harper's going on and on and on and on and on about how great Mizzou is. They're legit, blah, blah, blah. And then it came time to express his true feelings as an old guard SEC guy. And his pregame selection was Alabama by 50. So there's still a lot of skepticism out there, whether Mizzou was for real. And here's the deal: it was up to them to shut those people up. It was up to them to beat a beatable Alabama team, and they failed the test. I love Mizzou football. I'm a fan, and just because they lost this game, it doesn't mean the sky is falling. But the reality is, it's always going to be tough for Mizzou to get in the National College Football Playoff. And every time you leave a win on the table, and certainly they could have claimed that game Saturday, anytime you leave a win on the table and you lose, and now you got to play your final 6 on the road, it just reduces your chances. And you don't have as much margin for error. And people want to know, hey, their chances aren't that bad. I don't even want to talk about that. Now you got to show me in the show me state. You got to go on the road with this quarterback and prove that you can win road games. They haven't been on the road yet. So I'm not going to assume they're going to do well on the road.
They've got some tough matchups left in the season at Vanderbilt, home against Texas A&M, and at Oklahoma, with all due respect to Auburn, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. What's going to make and break the Mizzou season are those 3 ranked teams that I mentioned. And they probably have the same kind of opportunity. If Texas A&M is a top 5 team coming in, we'll view that game somewhat the same. Now, again, you go back to the old guard of the SEC. Texas A&M is also one of the newer teams in the SEC. Although I've always thought that they've kind of been more accepted as an SEC squad than maybe some other teams that have come in.
It's because they're from the great state of Texas. That's why, right?
Well, do you think Texas has still been there for 15 minutes, but I don't feel that way yet about Texas.
I don't either. I mean, Texas A&M is I think Texas gets that blue blood free pass as far as being viewed as a power, even when they're not a power. I think Texas A&M, it's kind of a little tougher case, but I don't know. I mean, it's just the way this is, Mizzou's been in that conference since 2012, and a lot of times they're treated like an interloper who just arrived or whatever. I mean, Mizzou's been pretty good in the SEC. Got to get better.
Really good. Yeah. They've been really
good. Got to get better, and you got to beat a team like Alabama when you have them trapped in your house, ready to go down. And the defense, plus the defense did a lot of things well. They had more sacks, more tackles for losses. The pass rush was pretty good. But once again, you see Alabama converting a 3rd and 24, a 4th and 8. There were some other plays like that. You just can't let that happen. And we see coverage mistakes over and over again.
Real quickly before we wrap up this segment, Illinois loses to Ohio State. I think a lot of us saw that coming. It was kind of a game. It kind of wasn't. But the other big game this weekend, and we know that Tom Ackerman is the happiest person in the world because you talk about the prove-it game for Indiana to go into Oregon and win that game. I'd been skeptical about Indiana. I thought Oregon was going to roll in that game. I will hold my hand up and say I am an Indiana believer at this point.
I thought, I thought Oregon was going to win it too. I thought it'd be really close, which it was basically, but that doesn't matter. I thought Oregon was going to win. Maybe Oregon's a little overrated. I don't know. Indiana looks great. Indiana doesn't have to take a backseat to anyone. Their defense in that game was absolutely phenomenal. And that part did surprise me some, but maybe I shouldn't be surprised by anything they do. And I would say that right now, at this moment, in these United States, Curt Cignetti is the best college football coach in America.
And he might have matched up against the second best coach in the nation. Lanning's really good too. So that is a great transition into what we're going to talk about next, because coaches are getting fired right and left in college football. That's a new part of the game that didn't exist a few years ago. We'll discuss that and where some of these programs go and some major buyout money that's being thrown around. We'll do that coming up in just a moment. This is Rush Hour Sports on KMOX.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's rest. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature-Made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature-Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. That's right, weight loss seminar at the Marriott St. Louis West in St. Louis at 11 a.m. Registration 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
eBay has reinvented vehicle buying. From click to curb, everything's covered. Ever try to buy a car online and end up in a parking lot with a stranger and some blind trust? That era is over. Now with Secure Purchase, eBay isn't just where you find your car. It's where you buy it, start to finish. Title, financing, registration, delivery, it's all built in. This is the modern way to buy your next ride on eBay. eBay. Things people love. Secure Purchase is powered by Caramel Dealer Services, LLC, an eBay subsidiary.
Hey, Dave, it's Tamara, the flavor temptress, and your good friend from Clementine's Ice Cream. I just wanted to say congratulations on 25 years. Not only are you the sexiest man in daytime radio, but you're probably the only man with the best looking feet. Here's to the next 25. Cheers to you, my friend.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. With thousands of 5-star reviews, you can trust us to bring happiness home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, even the backup we had in Metro East is getting a lot better. It's still busy. I'd call it slow eastbound 64, about midway between 157 and 159. It's a little closer to 159. It opens up there, and then 50 to Green Mountain Road's a little busy after that. But at one point, it was jammed all the way back at 255, so it's a major improvement. Northbound 55 seeing a little slow traffic at Highway 67, but other than that, the rest of these area interstates on both sides of the river, it is a holiday Monday. They are wide open for you. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Just a few minutes left in the program. It is Rush Hour Sports right here on KMOX. That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. Sports Open Line begins after the 6 o'clock news for a half hour leading in to coverage of Monday Night Football. Bernie, another coach fired. This time it's Penn State's James Franklin. Penn State not playing well. I'm not running away from that, but you're less than a year away since winning 2 games in the college football playoff, being a semifinal team in the college football playoff, and a bad first half of the season is enough for the folks at Penn State to say, James, thanks for the 12 years, but we'll pay $49 million not to be our coach anymore.
You know, you and I were talking or texting before the show, and the Penn State football culture it's just weird. And from the get-go, there was an appreciation of James Franklin there, but it's like anytime they had a chance to turn on him and just go nuts and criticizing him, they did. And the Penn State fan base, I have some experience with that growing up in that region and also having former in-laws who were Penn State diehards, and a lot of them and their friends. And if there's anything out that exists that could be called like you care too much about your college football program, where you let it affect your life in a way where if anyone says a word about Penn State, you're ready to fight everybody. You know, you can't disagree. I mean, you have to worship at the altar of Joe Pa and, you know, all that stuff. You got people still there insisting that Jerry Sandusky was framed or something. I mean, just really cuckoo crazy stuff. And so I'm not surprised that they turned on James Franklin, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have, but he was doomed to fail because there was constant dissatisfaction that he won a lot, but he didn't win enough. He seemed to always be on that teetering on the brink there, almost the whole time he was there. And so after these disasters of the last 2 weeks, the levee would not hold. The levee broke. I'm not surprised at all because it's a cuckoo fan base.
So far this year, Penn State, Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Stanford, Virginia Tech, UCLA, Oregon State, and UAB have all fired their coaches. 7,
right? 7. And they got in Florida and Wisconsin. Yeah. It's going to happen there too.
Yeah.
Later on.
College football used to be a thing where that was a very rare thing for the in-season coaching changes. The coaches didn't get fired as much. In the NFL, it's a different story, but college football used to not have that. And I'm not running away from the fact that there are coaches who deserve to be fired in season. If you lose your team, if you don't have a relationship with the AD, like there's a million reasons. But college football with NIL, with transfer portal, with all the money involved, they've become closer and closer to the NFL. And to go along with that, we're seeing coaches fired in the middle of the season. This is a really utopian thought, by the way. And I know maybe I need to get more attached to the real world. But what are any of these teams actually accomplishing? What you're accomplishing is you're tanking any chance you had for any chance of a season, because now the transfer portal opens up. All these kids get like a month where they can leave the program in the middle of the season. Oklahoma State, when they fired Mike Gundy, they've had double-digit kids go into the transfer portal. They may not win another game this year. If Mike Gundy was still there, they might get a win here. They might get a win there. Maybe you sneak to 6. Maybe you get bowl eligibility. You can still fire the coach at the end of the year. But you've got these kids, 18 to 22-year-olds, some of which will never play another football game for the rest of their lives, and you're tanking the season because you want to get ahead of it on a coaching firing where you can do if you want to make overtures to another coach while you still have a coach, that happens in college football. Let's not pretend that doesn't happen. So I don't like the number of firings that are happening midseason, and I don't think it's good for the game.
I agree with you. You told me before the show you weren't sure if I agree with you on what you were going to say. I totally agree with what you say, but I encourage everyone also to read Stuart Mandel's piece in The Athletic this morning, where he talked about the ludicrous at the same time that university presidents are like lobbying and talking about, well, it's too expensive, the sport's too expensive, we got to put in some guardrails. These are the buffoons that are giving these guys $50 million buyouts. I don't want to hear it from them, and like you're UAB. So, okay, you fired a bad coach, Trent Dilfer, that you never should have hired in the first place.
What, I'm the interim guy before he took over that did a nice job that didn't even get the job. So,
so I'm supposed to feel sorry for you? No,
I don't.
And you're going to cry about, oh, it's too expensive. Yeah, because of people like you, it's too expensive. Anyway,
we're out of time. Thank you. We'll see you again later on this week. That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. This has been the Rush Hour Sports on KMOX.
One of the best ways to find out about 3-Day Kitchen and Bath is actually to hear the results for yourself. On the phone with us is Wendy in Darwin. Wendy, you got a brand new bathroom.
I do, and it's beautiful.
Tell me about your bathroom.
It went from a dark room that felt like an absolute cave when I walked into it to a bright, airy, opened the space up. I mean, I don't know what else. It's just absolutely wonderful.
She's almost speechless. So, Darwin, tell me about all the man stuff. How did it work? The quality, the convenience. How did they do?
Excellent. We contacted 3-Day Bath, and they got back to us the next day. The communication was excellent. They were on time in all their promises, and it's beautiful. It's a great bathroom.
Would you do it again?
Oh, absolutely.
For more about your new kitchen or bath, visit 3daykitchen.com.
3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley for i3 Broadband, the internet provider in the Pauley household. I think you'd love it if you had them as well. We've got the 2 gig package at our home. 2 gig upload, 2 gig download, mirrored, and we're spending less money than we did with the cable company for lesser service. Plus, right now, they've got savings over $400 beyond their already low standard pricing. You got questions? They've got answers. Call 877-976-0711, and they've got people there who can answer all your questions, or head to their website, i3broadband.com.
Community America is stepping up in St. Louis and showing what excellence in banking looks like. Or in other words, they're winning. Opening more branches? Win. Competitive loan rates? Win. Wealth management? Win. Which now makes sense why they asked me, Cardinal shortstop Mason Wynn, to tell you. That's win with 2 N's, not one. It's time to bank like the Mason winner you are. It's time your financial partner was invested in you. Member owned, open to all. Community America Credit Union, invested in you.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, it's been a very easy evening out on the area highways. Columbus holiday Monday means very light traffic. We have a little bit of a slowdown northbound 55 approaching 67. It's not even midway back to 61. The bulk of the volume tonight has been on eastbound 64. At one point, we had jammed traffic from 255 most of the way to Greenmount Road, but that continues to improve. And what we're looking at now is just a slowdown on eastbound 64. No, not quite midway between 157 and 159, but pretty close. Once you get past 159, there's barely a slowdown. as you approach Greenmount Road. So much better than it was. No longer a jam. So it's a little slow there. And that's the only place we've still got delays, those couple of slow downs I just mentioned, because the run westbound 70 and 64 out into the Wentzville area is wide open. South 270 cleared out a while ago, and southbound 55 has been great. Just a little bit of a slowdown at Bates. I'm Roger Brand in the Michaels Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
Winner of the National Edward R. Murrow Award for Breaking News. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Peace in the Middle East.
We have a once-in-a-lifetime chance to put the old feuds and bitter hatreds behind us.
Nor'easter heads out.
We're on the backside of the impact.
On day 13 of the government shutdown,
there are no signs that the government is going to open up anytime soon.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Jennifer Kuiper. President Trump and world leaders signed the Gaza peace plan in Egypt.
Nobody thought this could happen. With the historic agreement we've just signed, those prayers of millions have finally been answered. As you know, the hostages have been returned.
Reporter Linda Gradstein in Jerusalem.
Families held emotional reunions with the freed hostages who were held in Hamas captivity for 2 long years. All over Israel, people celebrated, especially at Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, where a crowd of tens of thousands cheered every time the photo of a freed hostage appeared on the screen.
The remains of 4 dead Israeli hostages were returned to Israel today. 24 others have yet to be returned. Israel has released nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees, and aid has begun flowing into Gaza. Now, CBS's Nancy Cordes says President Trump is now asking for countries to step up with cash.
It is estimated by regional leaders that it will cost about $53 billion to rebuild Gaza. And that money is going to have to be put up by wealthy nations like some of the countries whose leaders he spoke with today.
In a speech to the Knesset, Trump tells Israel that it's time to work toward peace. At least 1 death is being blamed for the nor'easter that prompted a state of emergency in New York and New Jersey. A 76-year-old woman was struck and killed by a solar panel in Brooklyn. CBS News meteorologist David Parkinson.
The worst of the high tide cycles is now over, and the worst of the wind is over as well, as too is the rain.
CBS's Tom Hansen says for air travelers,
delay. That's because the FAA has issued ground delays for a lot of the major airports all across the Northeast, all the way up from Boston down to D.C., here at LaGuardia as well.
Meantime, authorities say more than 30 people were rescued and 3 are unaccounted for after remnants of a typhoon hit western Alaska. We're 13 days into the government shutdown, and neither chamber of Congress is in session today. CBS's Caitlin Huey-Burns says the Senate is slated to return tomorrow night.
We will see tomorrow when lawmakers return here to Washington whether enough Democrats are peeling over to support this bill or whether, as they have shown over the past couple of weeks, remaining very adamant that they get some kind of health care deal before agreeing to support this government funding bill.
The House is not in session this week. Stocks jumped on Wall Street. Now this.
Sponsored by Progressive. See why over 43 million drivers trust Progressive to stay protected on the road. See for yourself at progressive.com.
At 6:03, we have clouds and 78 degrees downtown of the Arch. I'm Maria Kina in for Michael Calhoun. Our top story, a 33-year-old man died this morning on Interstate 70 in Wright City. Missouri Highway Patrol reports the victim was on an electric scooter traveling westbound when a 62-year-old driver struck him. Investigators say that driver did not notice the 33-year-old. The victim died at the scene. The driver of the striking vehicle had moderate injuries. U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt is reacting to Middle East peace deal between Israel and Hamas.
It's always been his North Star is trying to use diplomacy first. And you've got, whether it's India and Pakistan or Azerbaijan and Armenia, a great track record. This is a big one.
He calls the hostages release a break through the area, but he acknowledges the continued negotiations around the governance of Gaza is more complicated. And it could be some time before both the physical and mental injuries suffered by the 20 freed Israeli hostages are brought under control. KMOX Health Editor Fred Bottom.
Doctors say it's a long road ahead for those who had been held captive in Gaza for 738 days. Fox News senior medical analyst Dr. Mark Siegel says, first, there are the physical injuries. broken bones, untreated shrapnel wounds, and infections that need to be treated.
But when all is healed, the psychic wounds take the longest to heal, and they take a long time, overtime, love and compassion and caring right off the bat. That's what the medical centers are going to give right off the bat. And families, so important. Post-traumatic stress, where you have nightmares, where you have flashbacks, where you have anxiety, go on for years and are very, very hard to treat.
Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
St. Louis Sheriff Alfred Montgomery spent the Columbus Day weekend on house arrest after superseding indictment in his federal case added felony witness retaliation and tampering charges. A hearing later tomorrow morning will determine if his bond is being revoked and if he will remain on house arrest or incarcerated in a facility. Montgomery's case initially began as a misdemeanor charge for having Deputy Jail Commissioner Tammy Ross detained. That was back in February. KMOX will have a reporter to find out what happens tomorrow. A St. Louis police officer injured after attempting to arrest 3 juveniles armed with guns and smoking marijuana. This happened last evening before 8 at the area of 7th and Olive downtown. Mitch McCoy says the teens were carrying bags and loitering near several closed businesses. Detectives tried to question the young boys, but one took off running. Then there was a brief foot pursuit.
Our detective caught up, attempted to detain that juvenile, but that juvenile started to fight our detective. In the midst of that fight, that juvenile was armed with a firearm that had an extended magazine.
During the struggle with the teen, the officer fell back and ended up breaking his hand. McCoy says 3 17-year-olds were all taken into custody. Each one of them had a firearm. The teen who resisted was taken to juvenile detention and is being held. The other teens, though, were placed in the custody of their guardians. Well, citing the severe mental and physical toll of the job, former Cardinals manager Mike Schilt abruptly retired today, his second sudden dugout departure in 4 years. Schilt said it was time to take care of himself. Unlike his surprise firing by the Cardinals back in 2021, this exit from the San Diego Padres was voluntary, coming just after he had led the team to 90 wins this season. At 6:06, let's head to the KMOX Traffic Center and get the latest on the roads with Roger Brand.
Well, they've looked great all evening, Maria, thankfully. This traffic reports service at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Just a couple of slowdowns. Eastbound 64, still a little slow as you approach 159. Of course, there's construction there between 159 and Greenmount Road that's causing the delays, just like there's a little bit of a delay northbound 55 approaching 67 in that work zone. Wrapping up an earlier injury crash, South Lindbergh, south of Mueller, just looks a little slow there. We have a rescue crash reported, Goodfellow in West Flores, and it looks like northbound Goodfellow is most adversely affected by that one. Otherwise, the rest of the interstates look great. Chesterfield Fence and Deck is your premier provider of fences, decks, patios, sunrooms, and more. Call them for a free estimate today. Now offering 20% off your next outdoor project. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, chesterfieldfence.com. I'm Roger Brand in the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
Quiet times continue, but we are running a little bit above average for our temperatures this time of year. Partly cloudy skies, 70s for evening plans, 63 for the low. On Tuesday, partly to mostly sunny, 82. Tuesday night, clear skies, 61. Wednesday, sunny, 82. Do that again on Thursday, sunny and 82 degrees. We should start to see some showers come Friday and Friday night. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
74 degrees right now in St. Peter's. It is 78 in Florissant and downtown at the Arch. We have 78 degrees. I'm Maria Aquino, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now.
From KMOX Sports.
We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Hey, let's go.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Live. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Here we go for at least a little while here on a Monday edition. It is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. Great to have you with us today. Taking you for about the next 22 minutes or so. We'll take you till 6:30. That's when our coverage of Monday Night Football, courtesy of Westwood One Sports, is set to begin. So we've got you for, again, just a few minutes. If you want to chime in on anything that we're talking about, feel free to text in 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you text in. You can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. And for those of you who are watching on the video stream, feel free to leave a comment in the chat. Those come right into our little digital studio, and we are able to look at that and reference those as we do go along on the program today. Just have a couple things that I want to talk about as we do go continue on. I want to start this show with how we started Rush Hour Sports, and I always try. It's two different shows, but they kind of lead right into each other. I try my best not to just completely repeat things that I said in the previous hour. But that being said, it'd be hard not to start this with anything but reaction to the news that former Cardinals manager Mike Shildt had announced his retirement today and is no longer the manager of the San Diego Padres. I'm going to be interested to hear more information about this as it leaks out, and it always does. More information, more details on these type of situations. They always eventually get out. Sometimes it takes a little longer than other times, but at some point we are going to hear something, whether officially, more unofficially. Maybe he gets another job at some point, and that allows him the opportunity to talk about what ended up happening. But in some ways, and look, for his sake, because he talked about the emotional and mental toll of being a manager, I am hopeful that this is just a situation where being a Major League Baseball manager is a really, really hard job, and it takes it out of you. And at some point in time, you say you want to be able to devote more of your life to family. You want to devote your life to being healthy and not having the stress that goes along with an incredibly stressful job. And if that is 100% truthful and the case and everything, that's great. Good for him. I'm happy for him. I think most people listening to this program, most people around here realize he's a really good baseball man. He's a good baseball manager. The way it ended in St. Louis, notwithstanding that, I never thought that was an indictment on what type of manager he was in Major League Baseball, and just the way that we appreciate him for the work that he did in St. Louis, and even for the work that was done in San Diego. That being said, I read this quote last hour. I'll read this quote again, and I think there's probably some truth to it. Ken Rosenthal earlier today was on the Fox Sports pregame show in front of the ALCS, which, by the way, Mariners have a 7-3 lead in the bottom of the sixth inning over the Blue Jays. So the Mariners are trying to take a 2-0 series lead in Toronto before that series shifts back to Seattle. But anyways, Ken Rosenthal earlier today when he was on Fox TV in connection to Mike Shildt said, quote, "He told me in a text that he's happy with his decision, but unless he's dealing with a serious health issue, it's difficult to imagine him retiring of his own volition," unquote. And Ken Rosenthal's very connected. Maybe he knows a little bit more than what he is saying, but he's not able to say anything at this point, so he's going to leave it like that. Maybe there's just stuff going on, because if you remember, it was like maybe 2-3 days after the Padres season came to an end, a report came out that both AJ Preller and Mike Shildt were going to return. So I don't know if that was just a comment from ownership saying that they intended for those two to come back and they hadn't really discussed things with those two. I don't know if from Preller's perspective, he went and wanted Shildt to maybe make some changes, or maybe Shildt wanted the organization to make some changes. That's something that he dealt with here in St. Louis, where he wanted things to be handled a little bit differently. That's when he got sideways with people in the organization, most notably John Mozeliak, and it resulted in him no longer being the manager of the Cardinals. So I have no inside information. I don't know how things went down. And again, I'm hopeful that it is just a situation where he's ready to get on to the next stage of his life. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I find it to be very interesting. I think Shildt did a fine job in San Diego, but at the same time, you look at the teams that he was given, you look at the aggressive nature of AJ Preller, the fact that, that bullpen that the Padres had this year, it's hard to go in recent memory to go find a bullpen that was as good as that one. And that's how you build a playoff winner. You look at how many bullpen games and openers and everything that we're seeing right now in the playoffs. You're getting less than 50% of your innings now covered by the starters in these games in the playoffs. You have to have a strong bullpen. You have to have the ability to hit home runs, and you have to have a strong bullpen. And generally the strong bullpen has a bunch of guys who can strike guys out. I mean, this goes back to what we talked about all season long with the Cardinals, where for the Cardinals to be better, they need guys who hit home runs, and they need guys who strike other guys out. Those are the two things that you need. Well, in the postseason, if you want to win, you got to hit home runs, and you got to have pitching that can come up with strikeouts. And that's San Diego. You look at that San Diego lineup, and you look at that San Diego bullpen, and you see a lot of what I just described. And again, in the postseason this year, they went quiet. They went quietly into the night and had their season come to an end. The night that the Padres season ended, I went on Twitter and I did just a basic Twitter search for Schilt or Mike Schilt. I don't exactly remember. I just wanted to see what the reaction was to him. And it's always first off, that premise is a very flawed premise in the first place. If you're trying to assess the overall feeling about something, going to Twitter is the wrong place to do it, because as loud as people are on Twitter, I think we have learned that the loudness of people on Twitter does not always represent the majority, the way the majority of people think. But that being said, it's really hard in that type of situation to go anywhere else to start to assess things. So I knew it was going to be negative. Like, the Padres season isn't going to come to an end, and hundreds of people are going to pop on Twitter to say, man, it stinks the season's over, but man, did Mike Schilt do a great job managing this team this year. Like, that's not what happens on social media. That is the opposite of what happens on social media. So I understand. There was already going to be a negative feeling, negative statements were going to be made. But based off what I saw on social media that night, Schilt was not an overly popular person for the San Diego Padres. I think I talked about that on this show the next day, where I had to laugh because at times Oliver Marmol is not considered the most popular person in the market. And I think we all know that if you listen to this show, that is not how I feel. I appreciate him, and I think he's a much better manager than what people give him credit for. All that being said, it was interesting that for many people in St. Louis, a lot of the reason that they don't like Oliver Marmol all comes back to the fact that he's not Mike Schilt. And then you go into San Diego, and there were a whole lot of Padres fans who would have liked anybody but Mike Schilt managing that team. And that's just the nature of the game, right? I've talked about it a million times. When I was working in Milwaukee, I got comments on my post-game show all the time that Craig Counsell needed to be fired. I think most people can accept the fact that Craig Counsell's a pretty good manager. So that's the way things are. But the Mike Schilt thing, it's interesting. It is an interesting story. I'm not trying to go all conspiracy theorist on you. I'm really, really not. But I don't think we have all the details. I don't know if we're ever going to have all the details. But I think there's a lot more to this. I don't know if it's a case of them trying to be respectful towards him, where they were going to actually let him go, but they wanted to give him the opportunity to retire. Maybe he comes back to another team in a few years. Maybe it was something where they needed him to make some changes and he wasn't going to make those changes. Maybe he wanted the organization to make some changes and the organization wasn't willing to do it. But I do feel like there's more to this story that appears to be out there right now. One more break. We'll come back. We'll have you for a few more minutes, and then we'll get into coverage of Monday Night Football. This is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Back with more in just a moment right here on KMOX.
Celebrate the spooky season with Zero Res and get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129. Take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the huge savings.
If you're still waiting for a sign, here's another one. At California Psychics, we reject 98% of the psychics who apply to work for us. So we only connect you with the best. That's how we can guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. And right now, new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. If that's not a sign, I don't know what is. Dramatic sound effect incoming. Experience the joy of certainty at CaliforniaPsychics.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-384-9393. That's 800-384-9393.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Are you tired of online threats? Then get an antivirus. It's the only online protection you will ever need.
Disclaimer: an antivirus is just half protection online. It will not protect you from snoopers or encrypt your traffic. So get better online protection with NordVPN. NordVPN will encrypt your traffic, protect you from malware and phishing, and stop annoying ads. Save 77% on NordVPN and get 3 extra months.
Thank you, Missouri, for making Genesis of St. Charles your #1 and most trusted Genesis dealer for 2025. Thrilling offers for an unforgettable season are now here at Genesis of St. Charles. For a limited time only, get 0% APR for up to 60 months on all new Genesis models. You don't want to miss this one. These offers absolutely end October 31st. Visit genesisofstcharles.com today. Based on GMA sales records for 2024 on approved credit for Genesis Finance. See dealer for details.
DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State. New Missouri customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. And when we go live, place just a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. Starting November 17th, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. DraftKings Sportsbook brings you everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
104.1 FM KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. Stronger than ever.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Back at it for just a few minutes. We're done in about 5 minutes or so. We're going to get out of here for our coverage of Monday Night Football. Our coverage will begin at 6:30 tonight right here on KMOX, courtesy of Westwood One Sports. It's pretty remarkable the amount of Major League Baseball managerial openings that are there. And my bias, I'm always somebody that, and maybe I would be a terrible president of baseball operations or general manager because I do have this attitude towards things, but just in general, I think more often than not you benefit from loyalty and patience. I think that's a thing in life. If you're loyal to people who you believe can do the job and you are patient with them, then for me that's something that pays off more often than not. Now, Is there a point where people deserve to lose their jobs? Yes. Is there a point where somebody has been somewhere too long? Yes. All that can be true. But we talked about this last hour during Rush Hour Sports when we talked about the college football firings, and this is kind of a new thing in college football, and I hate it, where we're seeing all kinds of mid-season firings. So right now in college football, it's October 13th. On October 13th, we've already seen Penn State, Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Stanford, Virginia Tech, UCLA, Oregon State, and UAB fire their coaches. Major League Baseball. So this is where we're at right now. So far, 9 managerial jobs open this year. One has been filled as Skip Schumacher. He is now the manager with the Texas Rangers. But with Mike Schultz's retirement today, you have the Atlanta Braves, the Baltimore Orioles, the Colorado Rockies, the Los Angeles Angels, the Minnesota Twins, the San Francisco Giants, the Washington Nationals, and now the San Diego Padres. All those teams have job openings at this point. And I know there's people out there who will say, well, that just shows that leadership in sports, that if the job is not getting done the way they want the job to get done, well, then they're willing to make the change, that there's pressure, that they're holding people's feet to the fire to get the job done. And is there something to be said for that? Yeah. I mean, you need people to do the job and do the job well. But if this many people in leadership are being fired in sports, what about the people who are doing the hiring? Because we're living in a time right now where across the board in sports, it seems like there is very, very, very little accountability for the decision makers who bring people in, where that next level of management, and in this case, whether it's Major League Baseball managers or whether it's college football coaches, that these are the individuals that are being moved on from. I mentioned this towards the end of the baseball season, or right after the baseball season ended. When the Hein Bloom announcement came in that Oliver Marmol will be back, a lot of people were upset about that, as I knew people would be upset about that. My question at that point is, who are you going to get that's going to be better? And a great example of why it was going to be tough is what happened with the Texas Rangers, where the Rangers have openly stated that due to financial uncertainties, they're going to maybe take a step back. That all of a sudden what the Rangers do might look very similar to what the Cardinals are doing. I don't think it's going to be exactly the same, but whenever you hear a professional sports franchise talk about financial uncertainties, that's a dog whistle for, hey, it may not be so good here for a little while. And Bruce Bochy saw that and wanted no part of it. And do we maybe see Bruce Bochy end up back in San Diego? I think that's at least a possibility. If he wanted that job, you would have to think that they would have a conversation. But it's who would want to come in when the Cardinals are kind of in that exact same spot. So it's a weird world we are living in right now when it comes to coaches and managers and everybody, a lot of them getting fired, and the idea of patience and loyalty doesn't seem to be quite as strong as maybe it was in previous times. That is it for this edition of the program. Our coverage of Monday Night Football begins in 2 minutes here on KMOX.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio and the guru of